Hey everyone, so we got a big review today. I'm going to be talking about Tyler the Creator's latest album, Chromakopia. Now, this album was kind of sprung upon us on relatively short notice, giving us about a week to truly process that we were getting a new Tyler album, when previous statements from him were implying that he wasn't going to be releasing an album this year. We hadn't heard anything about it. There were rumors, but they were, same like Frank Ocean rumors or Kanye West rumors where there's not as much evidence about it, or it's just a lot of speculation, or people just, want a new album from him, which, I was in the same boat. I want a new Tyler album. But he announced it with the teaser Saint Chroma, which, amazing just visual. Just to start off, this isn't going to, impact my, opinion of, the album in terms of my rating of it there or my opinion on the music, but I just want to throw it out there. All the teasers and music videos he's released for this have been phenomenal. Great filming on Noid, Thought I Was Dead, even the teasers he did for the tour and the vinyl, the Saint Chroma one's insane. But just starting off with this album, when we actually got to see the album cover and then the mask he's wearing on it there, it gave off so many different emotions of being closed off from individuals of it there, had a very authoritative, very kind of dictator, and I don't think anybody could have expected what we were going to be getting on this album, as I think it broke all expectations. First, with him even releasing it on a Monday, which, if you guys don't know, most albums since I think it was Beyonce's self-titled album have been released on Fridays because it's the best way to maximize streaming, sales, all that stuff. It's a marketing thing that just makes the most sense of doing it. Tyler the Creator didn't want to do that because he felt like people wouldn't be listening to it as much on the weekends because they'd be busy with other stuff, and then maybe I'd be at parties. So he wanted people to actually fully listen to it. So he released it on a Monday, I believe at 6 a.m. It was about 5 a.m. here when he released it. I was asleep by then because, I wasn't going to be conscious enough to even process that the album was out. But it was a very interesting, idea that he did there, and it really broke the mold, which is something I feel like Tyler the Creator has always strived to do, is to be different and, go off the beaten path in his own way, which is something that I think a lot of people love about him. But to start off with, Saint Chroma, which is an amazing opening song. You have vocals from Daniel Caesar, which, Daniel Caesar always delivers very good R&B, very soulful, just singing of it, pairs very well with Tyler Creator's very whispery hush rapping on it there. Very just very just bold of how braggadocious he is, which very much reminds me of his previous album, Call Me If You Get Lost, which was a very victory lap kind of album. And this one just pairs so well. And then halfway through the song, we get this explosion of just noise as we get some louder rapping from Tyler the Creator, and then soulfully more with more singing from Daniel Caesar. And it flows very well into the second song, Ratata, which was, I think it's one of the more, middle of the road tracks for me personally. Not meaning it's bad. I just think it's done, the style he goes for is done a bit better on other songs. It's obviously very, rap heavy, very energetic of it there. His words are very interesting on it. And at the end of it there, he says he's the biggest out. I think it's the biggest out of California after Kenny, which, I mean, coming out of California, that's probably true, because I'm trying to think who else who's currently in the game and at their peak you could really put above Tyler, other than Kendrick Lamar. So you can't really agree with it. You can't really disagree. But the one thing I can say about this song that I love the most is the ending of it there, which goes so well into the next song, Noid. He said I'm paranoid or weird, which falls in there, and then he starts saying paranoid as it cuts to Noid, which Noid, when it first released, was not my favorite Tyler single that he's ever released. It wasn't bad. I think a lot of people were hating on it for very weird reasons. I thought the Zambian sample he used was really great. The guitars I thought were very interesting on it there. The rapping was very interesting. I just thought the song kind of ran a little too long and wasn't as adventurous as I think he was trying to make it, which, was kind of a little bit of a letdown. But I've always been a person who thinks whenever Tyler releases the singles, Usually, I think the other songs are better, even though, like, Earthquake is a good song. I think it's not the best song or close to one of the best songs on Igor or anything on Flower Boy other than maybe See You Again, which is an amazing song. So I wasn't too worried about that, and it's still, in the context of the album, I think the song's a bit better, and it's still a good song. And then we get Darling I with Tizo Touchdown, which the song is amazing. Someone who doesn't listen to a lot of Tizo Touchdown, if I see he's featured on a song, I'm going to listen to it because he has a very good voice of it there. And the song very much details Tyler's inability to stay in certain relationships of, just certain things in life of there. His inability to, I guess, be held down in a relationship or his fear of that. With it, Tizo Touchdown's vocals just pair so well with it, of basically saying, like, darling, I keep falling in love. It's just so good. And then you get Hey Jane, which is one of the first moments that really got to me on this kind of album in terms of, like, oh, how serious this album is. And I mean, like, Tyler puts a level of seriousness to all of his albums after a certain point, obviously, but you get the idea. But this song definitely was talking about Tyler and this girl, and, how they could, they would, if they had a child, it'd be a very good child. I'm putting very simple context of it there, but this plays very much into this theme of Tyler getting older. His friends around him are having kids, they're settling down, they're bunkering down, and he's still just releasing music, which is something that's kind of carried over from Darling I and carried out after this song. And then we get I Killed You. Very good, just instrumental. I love just the rhyming on it there, the just flow of the entire song. I thought it was pretty good. Now, Judge Judy is, I think, the worst song on the album, and once again, I don't think it's a bad song. I just think, like, the chorus of him saying, like, Judge Judy, or I won't judge Judy, is a little, like, repetitive, and after a while, I think it's kind of boring, but for the most part, it's not a bad song, just I think it's the weakest song on the album, and I think most people can agree to that. Like, it's not a bad song, just I don't think it's better than any song on this album. And then we get a very different song. We get Sticky, which has Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne in it. It's a very, unique song of it there, just very sexual driven, which a part of this album is Tyler now exploring himself. On previous song Judge Judy, I did like the theming of Tyler's going to explore, and he's in this this sexual relationship with someone where they can basically do whatever they want and he will not judge her. I kind of forgot to mention that. It is an interesting concept, and then it's carried over to Sticky, which is just a zest fest, is the best way I've seen it described. I've described it very much at the first time listening to it until it got to Glorilla, because Glorilla start of it is amazing, and just really enjoyed, like, when she comes onto the song, I was like, oh shit. And I'm not, like, a big Glorilla fan, and I'm definitely not a big Sexy Red fan, but they do good on this song, and I think people aren't listening to the song, or they're just hating. It's just kind of dumb. Lil Wayne's, like, the sudden burst into the song, and then exit of it there, I don't know, I feel like it's just the perfect amount of it, and it's just, it's very quotable. Of the sticky situation, discombobulation is an amazing line. And then you get Take Your Mask Off, which is just such a soulful song. I love it. It's so different from the previous song, but I think it works so well in the context of this album, which we get more singing from Daniel Caesar, but this time we also get LaToya Williams on it, who I had never heard of personally, but she does fantastic on this album, or on the song, with the singing of this very soulful of Taking Her Mask Off, talking about, like, Tyler's, inner thoughts about stuff of it there, such as, like, religion, relationships of it, taking his mask off, of this way of him hiding. It's so personal, but yet so relatable to, I think, a lot of people, but it's still so personal to him. And then we get Tomorrow, which to me, it's such a beautiful song with the guitar, like the finger-picking guitar, his very teary singing of it there. It almost makes you cry. But then it's followed up with Thought I Was Dead with Schoolboy Q, which Schoolboy Q's verse on this album I think is probably my favorite, just because I feel like he uses the time he's given very well. I'm a big fan of Schoolboy. Very well. The song has a diss towards which everyone, technically it's never been confirmed, but it's most likely Ian. of it there, which I feel like it's a very good song and also very fits well with this, you know, nature of Tyler, this dichotomy he has throughout this album. I feel like it's flown well. The instrumental, is like kind of industrial-esque instrumental, is super well executed. And then it's followed with the one song on the album that I will admit actually made me cry, which is Like Him with Lola Young, where Tyler's talking about his dad, which he has done before. He's talked about his dad several times. In his early stuff, he mentioned, like, killing his dad, very Eminem-like. And then he had Answer, which is a very, you know, heartbreaking song, which I've seen people do a, like, mashup of the songs together, which is horrifying. But this song is talking about how he looks like his dad, and it's already sad enough, because I feel like that's a lot of things people with, like, who have been abandoned in life have that kind of thing in their mind, like looking like their parent. And then the end of it there, we get Lola Young basically. I don't think it's actually Tyler's mom speaking, and I'm pretty sure it's just Lola Young speaking on it, but basically admitting to Tyler that his dad wanted to be in his life, but she kept him out, and at the end of it saying, like, that he needs to forgive her. And it's such a very heartbreaking moment, because I don't know what Tyler would be experiencing in that moment. The amount of emotions, I can't even imagine what he would have been feeling in that. So, like, heartbreaking, and it really just tugs at you. And then you get probably the most infamous moment on the album, which is the transition from Like Him to Balloon, which is, I love Balloon. Balloon is one of my favorite songs on the album of it there. I know it's a very, like, people either love it or hate it, but I love the instrumental. It's just that transition from the end of Like Him to Balloon, where it's very, like, bouncy, very energetic, very happy, and it's so not bad, but it's so different and very, like, throws you off a bit, which is a critique I can give the album. But Deutsche, her entire part in the song kind of steals the show for me. It's so energetic, so emotional, so, like, gonna stick in your mind. I just love it. And we end the album with I Hope You Find Your Way Home, which I think is a slept-on track. I don't think it's one of the best songs on the album, but I don't see it getting mentioned a lot. And I think that's a real shame, because it's a very good ending for an album. And I just love the Chromakopia kind of chant at the end of it really seals the deal for me. I don't know, I can't tell you why, but I feel like that as the beginning and the end just works so well. And overall, this was an album that I held off on reviewing, because when I first listening through it for the first time, which was on my way to my, like, college classes, and during some of those classes, I didn't know what to think, because at first some of the songs I was like, man, this is not that good. And then I was like, in the ending, and I still believe that the second half of the album is the best half. I just think every song on the second half is good, or just great, honestly. But I had to listen to the songs again, and then again, and the more I listened to it, the more I, like, really sat down with a specific song, listened to it on repeat, another song on repeat. I started understanding the charm of the album, why it's a great album, why I think this is amazing, and why I think this is one of Tyler's standout albums among a discography of standouts, because Tyler's 4-album run he's on right now is insane, because he started his career very controversial, very edgy, very, like, you know, he had a very DIY style, but he also was very, like, sabotaging of his style. He hadn't found himself yet. And then we get a couple standouts such as, like, Wolf. And then Cherry Bomb was one of those that was, like, hit or miss with a lot of people, and still is to this day. It's a very divisive album, I've noticed. And then we get this run of Flower Boy, Igor, Call Me If You Get Lost, now Chromakopia. And I'm super happy for Tyler, because we get to see him evolve more as an artist than you really think he can. Because after Igor, I think, at least for me, I was like, where does he go from here? Because I was like, I mean, that's his peak. And I still think that Igor is his best album he's ever made. I think that was a phenomenal album. But he still somehow managed to make albums that, while maybe not better than Igor, are just great and have their own lane that they are in. Because each album is very different. And with Chromakopia, it's a blend of different stuff. The theming is stuff that you really cannot compare to another Tyler album. And I really enjoy the experience. I'm still spinning most of the songs on here. Even Judge Judy, which is still my least favorite song on the album, is still not an awful song, and I enjoyed it. Do I think some of the transitions of the album are a bit questionable, such as Like Him to Balloon? Yes, and I will give the criticism of that, but it's not enough to really turn me off from the album, the track list of it. And because of that, I'm feeling a 9 on the album. Let me know what you thought on the album, because I've seen opinions vary so much. I heard people say this album was bad, which is crazy to me, but I've also seen people say this is Tyler's best album, which I'm not saying that's crazy, but I'm also saying, like, it's such a wide range, and I just want to hear people's opinion. But that's going to be it from me. Bye.